can't see the.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. It is day 8 of our Creative Photo Tips class. Thank you everyone for joining us. Hello, Alicia. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Like my hat?
Yes. Gotta buy some more.
I've been sporting the shirt. I thought I'd sport the hat for today. How's everyone doing? Hi, Debbie. Hi, Diana. Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining us again. Who's excited for today's class? Who's had time to play and practice? We are on to our third week, right? Or second week, third week? We are past halfway. We are past halfway, and that means that all of these great tips that we're bringing up over the next week and a half that we have left are really going to be about broadening your awareness and thinking about how you can really hone in and create within these four corners of your frame. We're talking about composition here, right? So last week, the first big tip focused solely on composition that we talked about was the rule of thirds, right? And the rule of thirds is like, it's all about getting everything out of the middle and, you know, giving your frame some extra space to work with and bring in some secondary elements to tell your story. But today, we are literally going to talk about the complete opposite of rule of thirds. Does anyone want to take a guess at what the complete opposite of rule of thirds is? Anybody who's here with us today? I'm trying to remember because a few of you were in our visual storytelling class over the weekend, and I'm trying to remember if we did this tip while we were walking around Lake Eola. But who wants to take a guess? If rule of thirds is about getting out of the middle and giving your subject like this offset picture, what do you think the opposite of that is? Anybody? Anybody want to take a guess? Oh, good. We've got some typers. We've got some people chatting in the chat box. Yeah, balance.
Balance, centering, yeah.
Exactly. So the key word we're talking about here, and Alicia, if you want to type it in, photo tip number 8 is symmetry. How do we look for and symmetry in a photo? So I've got a lot of fun photos I want to show today that in very completely different ways show symmetry. So a lot of times we can think of symmetry simply as if you were to take a picture and fold it in half. Each side mirrors each other, right? Or vertically as well. But we don't hold a lot of physical pictures anymore, right? Everything's on screens. So we can look at symmetry in a little bit more of a broader way because it's not just perfect folding left to right, but we're going to see symmetry in nature. And the best part is with our cameras, we can create symmetry where there might not have been symmetry before. So I'm going to bring up a couple shots. I told you guys I've been playing in my garden, right? So I finally have some fun garden photos. And I'm just going to start with an obvious one, okay? Or one that seems obvious, all right? So let's just point out the obvious right away. The shape creates symmetry, right? And the repetition of all of the bunches around each other inside the shape creates symmetry, right? What else in this shot kind of creates some symmetry though? Do you guys notice some other parts? And let's hint for a minute and think again about some of these other tips we've talked about. So let's look at rule of thirds or color. And what else in this shot creates symmetry? What do you see? Maybe a hint would be not just what you're focused on, but look beyond the focal point. What else creates some balance in this photograph? Yes, exactly, Laura. The flowers on either side. So now we have color creating symmetry as well, right? And in reality, this little bit down here creates even more balance. Do you see how it's kind of creating a little triangle? There's a little hint of it down here in the corner. And the other thing that creates balance, guys, is that this flower has what we call breathing room around it. So notice how none of the other orange like cuts into the main flower. There's that green in between. So that helps separate that center point, okay? So how about this one? That one was easy, right? We're gonna make them a little bit more. So in any case, let's just talk about nature in general, right? So maybe the first time I saw this is a potato plant, by the way. These are gonna be purple potatoes. I chopped up a potato, let the little islets start growing, and now we have potato plants growing. They're huge in our yard. When I first looked at the flower, symmetry, right? That's obvious in nature. Anytime you're in nature, you can look for symmetry. But check this out. I don't know, Alicia, if you've seen this one. Totally different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But do you notice how there's like more symmetry now because I went from a different angle? What else? Like having this wall of leaves at the top kind of helps create the symmetry, right? And I'm using the symmetry that's here within the leaf itself. But what else in this shot creates symmetry? What creates that balance in this photograph? What catches your eye, Alicia?
I love the shape of the leaf, number one. I'm like attracted to the heart.
Yeah. The heart, isn't that is
like
amazing.
The veins on the leaf create that symmetry, but also the background, which I assume is the ground.
Yeah, it's gravel. It's like white gravel, stone. So yeah, do you guys notice how symmetry is also another way you can think of symmetry is repetition? So I kind of like that. See how the veins create these lines, but then you kind of have that same repetition going on in the background with the speckles all the way around the shot. Think about our color tones, right? The background where is colder and the foreground is warmer. Again, we're creating balance in our shot, but also creating it with perfect symmetry. So going from shot to the shot I just showed you, I'll bring it back up in a minute. It takes a minute to really see perfect symmetry. So just start with something in your scene that is already symmetrical when you want to practice this tip. So in this case, a leaf, right? And I love the heart too. So that's what I was like, all right, we're playing with this heart shape and it's obvious symmetry. How can I make my photo even more symmetrical? Between this shot and this shot, there's probably 20 or 30 pictures of me moving, right? We call it the photographer's dance when I'm just like, what angle, where's my, and even this exact frame, everybody, I was doing little subtle movements. Do you catch yourself doing that sometimes, Alicia?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I almost have it, but then you just want to tweak it a tiny bit, right?
Because you're framing your picture in your viewfinder, and I'm sure people are starting to realize that if they're playing around is you're trying to see the picture through your viewfinder. I tend to do that. Me personally, I don't shoot with the thought that I'm going to crop an image. I shoot with the thought that I'm framing the actual picture in the camera. So yes, I would do this just like you did, and I'd probably go around a little bit, and I actually like the leaf underneath it. It kind of, even though it's off balance, it still balances it out. It's cool because of the different greens.
And the different greens and this shape creates another weird way that it's symmetrical. This space in between. I'm glad you pointed that out. And good point about the cropping as well. So this is, this tip, guys, like I said, every tip is going to be a little bit more strategic. I don't want you to think of it as harder. I don't like that word. It's more challenging, but it's not that the shot is more challenging. It's that you're going to challenge yourself to be more in the moment so you can look for this trust your confidence, trust yourself, and get that perfect shot inside your frame in the camera. We talked about this in, I had a private lesson the other day after our group class, and she said, you know, the one thing friends and family who don't get my love of photography, they're like, can't you just crop it later? And she's like, no, I am going to get that shot in camera, and I am determined. So
I love it.
When you're thinking of creative framing, right, this whole class, this series is about storytelling and how do we make our storytelling more creative in the moment. This concept of creating symmetry or balance, we should look for it everywhere. But when we really see it, it's going to take us a minute because we need to hone in on that perfect frame. And one of the things I remember really paying attention to was not just this leaf and my focal point, but how much was I going to leave up top to help bring that balance at the top of the frame too. I'm now adding the rest of this bush in the photo. So if it's going to be there, can it create balance as well? And I ended up tilting a little bit because this side of the frame on the right, I didn't have as much green in it. It was just white over there. And then it was unbalanced in some way. So when you practice this tip, stick with it a bit longer. Take a lot of photos and notice if you're, something we'll talk about by the end of class is our next online classes we're going to be doing. But yes, you can crop later. We're going to teach you about cropping and stuff like that in Lightroom. But what's even more important when you get to post-production in Lightroom is that you have this wide range, a series, if you will, of images of the same shot where you were trying to tweak that frame and get it perfectly balanced. So you can look at them all at a glance and really pick that best one, right? Really study those shots. And I did that here. It took me about 20 shots this morning. This last hour, I've been playing with them and going, all right, this is the best one because it really shows that symmetry. So let me show you another one, guys. Well, here's the last one I took in the garden that really, a whole nother way of looking at symmetry. So this really doesn't have that much symmetry in it, right? But what is symmetrical in this shot? What's balanced immediately? And keep in mind, guys, as you're taking a guess, put your answer in the chat box. What do you see that is that mirrored effect in this photograph? Because it's not obvious right away, but what do you see that has mirrored effect in this shot? If you guys can take a guess, leave it in the chat box below. And then obviously the focal point, right? There's this balance where it's centered, but what else is creating this mirrored effect here? And keep in mind, this is not obvious, right? This isn't
at the bottom.
Yes, exactly. So, but notice how they're not both in focus. One's actually closer to the camera and out of focus. Yeah, we've got this balance with the leaves. And what does this symmetry do? It makes you look further into the middle. Now, this line, this branch here, that is annoying to me, but that's a part of what the moment was like, right? And if you think about it, at least it has breathing room. It brings you into that center point as well. So this plant, this is beans, by the way. These are bush beans, pole beans? I don't know. There's nothing symmetrical about these leaves, really. But yet again, you can look at how we've got this symmetry just by the shape. So shape is key when you're thinking of symmetry too. It doesn't have to be necessarily exactly the same thing on both sides of your frame. It could just be a shape that is mimicked. So getting out of the garden, I'm going to save the best one for last. I'm going to show you this one. Not the same, right? We're going vertical this time. So if you were to draw a line in this picture, what kind of line would it be that creates symmetry? It's not the same. What do you think, Alicia? It's not a cross, right? The top of this frame is not the same as the bottom of this frame. How is this symmetry? How does this create symmetry?
I mean, it is very balanced from the top and the bottom. but it's not obvious to me either, you know, but if you were to fold it in half, that would be
Yes.
symmetrical.
Yeah, so vertical, like Laura said here. If you, and I wanted to show you this one because it isn't obvious, right? And it's not only not obvious, but when you're standing there, I have a whole ocean in front of me. So
Were
there's
you on like a balcony shooting over?
yes, I was shooting down over top, about 100 feet up over a balcony. So again, maybe there was symmetry there, but the reality is my frame created the symmetry, right? By leaving all that open space and that block of color up there, what I did was I literally went around the balcony like this, looking at the edges of the rocks. And I wanted a bit, I found space here on this side. So I wanted to create that circular look down there. So the rocks were all jagged, right? But I found an area where they had almost this symmetrical half circle look to them. So you can fake the look of symmetry as well by forcing your frame to get rid of stuff and only hone in on certain areas. All right, best for last, guys. Actually, wait, I have one more. I think I've shown this picture before. Have I shown this shot?
Yes, I think so.
So
I think we did color. Well, we did a few things on this, I think.
Well, and we've taught a lot of classes, so it might have been in one of our other classes. If you guys are here in this class now, live with us, have you seen this picture before? Tell me. I want to know.
There's a lot of symmetry going on here.
Okay, yes, color. Okay, they did see it. Yeah, so fine, we did use it. We talked about color, but not an obvious place where there's symmetry. Yes, on a bridge, I could create the symmetry, but notice how we have this pathway on the right. That kind of makes it imbalanced, but what helps balance that out is this empty blue bright color on the left, right? Even though we have this taller set of buildings on the left, what balances it out are these bright lights on the right. And even notice how I'm right under a bright light. There's one right up there as well. So, and of course, you can imagine me with my tripod. I'm literally moving around and tilting down to get that perfect look where these lines bring you into the center of the frame. Again, I had to go create the symmetry.
The V's to like the bottom and then the top, kind of like,
yes,
that to me is more symmetrical. The lines, you know, the shape of the lines, and
yeah,
my focus is going towards that middle, and it is in the middle of the, you know, picture.
Right in the middle of the frame. Yeah. Funny enough, do you guys see this right here? Can you see my arrow?
Yeah.
Don't guess yet, Alicia, but can anyone else guess what that is? What do you think that is before I zoom in? I could not see this with my bare eyes. So imagine it's dark and rainy, and I do have full focus, but you're pretty much squinting. Yeah, it's the American flag right down the middle of my frame. How crazy is that? Look at that.
That's awesome.
See that? So you never know what's going to be in that symmetrical shot when you're really trying to get it perfect. This took me a long time, guys. I mean it, like 10 or 15 minutes standing there in the rain with my raincoat over my thing, and just a cool scene, but I'm still going, all right, this is not balanced. It's cool. I had shots with the cars going, right? And I had the light showing, but it took me a minute to tweak the angle. The angle is key to creating that symmetry. All right, last one. And before I show this one, Alicia knows this, but I feel like I have to put it out there first. This is not manipulated. This photo is not manipulated at all. This is exactly what you see. So, Alicia, do you remember where this shot is?
Yeah, of course. It's in my neighborhood.
This is the north end of Boston, Massachusetts, guys. And this is literally one of those streets where it's not a 90-degree angle. it goes like this. It's like a 30, 40 degree angle. And this building really is this acute angle, this shape. And the buildings do go like that. And the roads split off. They actually meet back up way down at the end at the harbor. But I came walking. So we were just walking around Boston, which is a gorgeous city to walk around, which is why I cannot wait to get up there and start teaching these classes up there. We're going to be doing some fun just city and historic tours with our cameras up there, but there are just some beautiful, places to see. And that's all we were doing this day, is walking around enjoying the city. And I happened to have my camera on me. No plan, not having a clue what I was going to see next. So, great question, Donna. I'm going to answer that in 1 second. So I'm walking down this road here, and I remember crossing this crosswalk and thinking, that's so funny. There's like 2 crosswalks right next to each other. I couldn't quite see down this road yet because I was walking this way. So I turned to look at the second crosswalk, and I felt like I was in the Inception movie. All of a sudden I could see down both of these roads. So to answer Donna's question, yes, I am using a wide angle lens. I am laying on the ground in the middle of the street. I could still hear my cousin screaming at me, get out of the middle of the road. And I'm tilted up with a wide angle lens. So this is literally the opposite angle of the New York shot. New York, I was way up high in the air on a bridge, tilted down, and the bridge was coming in. And for this one, I'm laying down and I'm tilted up. And because I'm tilted up with a wide angle lens, I'm getting the edge of those buildings in my shot on the outer edge as well here. But what makes this symmetrical? Why is this shot so perfectly balanced, even though nothing about it is really that balanced? What are the elements that catch your eye? Imagine if you were standing there, guys, and you're messing with how you're going to move this around. What things are you looking at in this scene that make you decide to, balance that symmetry? What do you see, Alicia?
Well, to me, this whole thing is completely symmetrical, because if you did flip it in half, it's gonna almost look exactly the same, even though the buildings and everything aren't the same. You got buildings on the right, buildings on the left, the way it's kind of being out. And then the actual crosswalks are creating this symmetry towards where you are shooting the photo. Even the sky, like the way the sky, how much the sky is in there on each side is symmetrical. Everything about it.
Donna said the same thing. The sky on each side is symmetrical. The crosswalks definitely were the first thing that caught my attention. There were 2 crosswalks, so I could kind of like, just looking at the bottom of my frame, right? I'm going, where's the middle? And there they meet, right? And of course, this gorgeous building, okay? And this is one of the most beautiful, iconic things about the north end of Boston, which is the Italian-Irish crossroads, and is these copper buildings, these iron and copper buildings that turn this deep turquoise color. And even the roads and the lines of the cars. Exactly. So notice, the cars are on the inside, right? They're not both on the outside, but they're on the inside. And the people are a bit imbalanced, but that doesn't bother me too much. Also notice, or let me ask you in a different way, what time of day do you think it is? What time of day do you think it is? Anybody got a wild guess? I'll let you guys take a guess first before I ask Alicia. I don't know if she knows or not. And if you're I want everyone to take a guess right now. There's no right or wrong here. I want just take a guess so we can talk about time of day and why does that matter? So what are you looking at to make your guess, right? What about it? I love it. Donna gives an exact number. It's 5 p.m.
Yes,
before or after daylight saving time, Donna? Is that AM or PM, Donna? All right. So I'll go with it. It's early evening, afternoon, 5 p.m. Probably Donna meant.
You can actually see the gold sun reflecting off of the buildings.
Look at
It's
the
just
color of
starting
the
to go
building,
down
right?
a little bit because it's behind the buildings a little bit, and you can see some of the bright light on the top of them. So
Yeah. So even this hint of gold over here mimics this hint of gold over here. And they just so happen to be that gold pops because they're both those orange brick buildings, right? If this was a blue building, this would not be as symmetrical. It would be symmetrical, but there are so many elements here that made it worth laying in the middle of the street for 10 minutes while my cousin's screaming at me because I'm like, no, I almost have it. I've almost got it. And I'm going, don't, I can't zoom out any further. Because at first, guys, I wanted the shot to look like this. At first, I really wasn't getting the buildings. So imagine only shooting down the streets and getting the top of the building. And then I realized these outer buildings could help tell the story. So I had to keep like tweaking, trying not to say, oh, I'll just crop it later.
no, I love
There
it.
are 2 vanishing perspective points Debbie pointed out. Yeah, that in itself was definitely noticing that, Debbie, was the main reason that made me stop and go, you guys are going to have to wait because I have to get this shot. And I know, Debbie, I'm sure a lot of you on this class, you guys have had those moments before, right? Where you're like, whoa. I just saw something and it's going to take me a minute. So bear with me because I have to really step into this moment and sit with it to get that balance and see how am I going to play with these 2 vanishing points. The do not enter sign bothered me for the longest time, but it's kind of balanced out over here on the right with this guy on the left. So there's so many things about any given moment that aren't symmetrical or balanced at all. And we have to create the balance in our shots, guys. So have you guys in the past, have you ever seen symmetry or had that experience where you do want to create symmetry in your shots? I know, Monday's class, I literally said, don't put your focal point in the middle ever again. But, if you guys are playing with rule of thirds, this could be another thing that you practice at the same time. If you have a shot of rule of thirds, then ask yourself, hey, can I create symmetry? Can I move that focal point back into the middle and see what I can do with it? Great balance. And in a story, I feel like this is obvious, but let's talk about what this does for a story for a minute. Yes, it creates balance in a story, but it creates peace and harmony in what could be, a chaotic shot, right? This is a very busy photograph. But by forcing symmetry, it calms it down, right? It lets your eye move through the scene a little bit easier. So quite often, when you've got a busy scene, if you find a focal point that can help balance out that scene, all that busyness just washes away because you've created symmetry in your shot. So, who's ready to go play? You ready to go play? Who's ready to go play?
I just wanted to play.
Oh yeah, tell us about the shoot you just did.
I just did a newborn. It was the first shoot I've had to do with a full mask on for 2 hours, which I got so into the moment that I kind of forgot I was wearing it,
Right.
even sweating with it. But it was cute. It was good to be in my element, and the little baby had a Star Wars theme room, tons of Etsy stuff, and it was a lot of fun to capture them.
Good.
And they had 2 dogs too, and it was very difficult to sit them down with the baby in the middle, and it was fun. So I was creating symmetry in that moment. But
I can tell you, I've told Alicia this, I'm telling everyone who's listening in right now, Alicia will do family photo shoots that I wouldn't even consider trying on my own, like a newborn baby and 2 dogs. It is challenging.
Yeah, no, but I love putting myself into those challenging situations. Babies, I always dabble. Do I still want to do babies? Because sometimes the baby can cooperate, sometimes they can't. And it's a challenging thing. But today I felt really good. The baby did it and got it done in 2 hours. So
I have I have a newborn shoot next Friday. They've moved it to. I was supposed to do a birth shoot with them, but of course we can't go into the hospitals now. We can't have guests. So we're going to do a newborn shoot when she gets back to the house. I'm sure I'll be wearing a mask as well. And it's her first little girl. She has 3 boys. So I'm so happy for her. And this will be my first newborn shoot in a long time, but not dogs, but I have 3 boys under the age of 9 and a newborn baby girl.
That's probably worse than dogs. To wrangle them all up, it's not easy. So if anybody plays around with that, you know, definitely have patience and breathe through it.
Exactly. Well, that reminds me, guys, if you are having fun this weekend and you want to get out and practice shooting and you want to join us, Alicia is coming to town. I'm picking her up tomorrow. Friday, we are going to be doing our Creative Photo Tips class number 9 together here in the studio. So no 2 screens, just both of us hanging out together. And Saturday, we are going to be teaching our portrait photography workshop live online. We have a great presentation for you guys, and we will definitely be talking about newborns a little bit, but more so just how to get great portraits, how to understand, you know, good lighting for portraits, angles for portraits, how to crop and frame great for portraits, how to pose portraits or not pose. I know a lot of people, including myself, don't love posing, but directing and building that energy to create, you know, a great atmosphere where people can be themselves for portraits. We're going to be going over all of that and more on this Saturday from 10 to 12. If you guys want to join us for that class, it's $50. You'll get the whole presentation. We're going to be talking about, even if you're in manual mode, but you're still not quite sure, we're going to talk about how when you're shooting on the fly with people, you can use some other settings that'll help you get that shot really quickly as well. So auto mode or manual mode, this is going to be a great class for anybody to take creative control of their camera in a whole nother way for people, for portraits. So I hope you can join us for that. And then I want to end this class with a quick little demo. I didn't even tell Alicia I was going to do this, but the next class we're going to do together Saturday is our photo editing class. And I know a couple people on here are going to be joining us for that one. I want to show you guys a little sneak peek of what this program's all about. I've had a lot of questions these last few weeks from people, but a lot of people who are trying to get in and do the Orlando class, but they're not quite sure about scheduling in-person class right now. So I'm going to show you guys, and everyone have access to just get a sneak peek of what Lightroom, this is Adobe Lightroom, the program that we're going to be learning this Saturday. The class is from 2 to 4. It's also $50. If you guys buy tickets to both classes, I will give you a $25 gift card to any future class that you want, or private lesson, or anything. So they're $50 each, but you will get a $25 gift card if you join us for both classes. I know a couple people have done that here, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let me show you. Let me see if I can do the screen sharing. So what I want to show you guys is, and let me know, can you see my screen right now? Alicia, tell me if you can, okay? And I'm just going to take another 5 minutes of your time, guys, but if you have questions while I'm talking, chime in. That's what the chat box is for. Interrupt me. Ask any question you want right now, okay? So just to give you a brief overview, Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom Classic is a computer program that professional photographers have been using for upwards of 10 or 15 years. It was the first major program that allowed professionals to work with high volumes of photos, lots and lots of different photo shoots, all at once, and here's the key, as technology kept getting bigger and faster, and our cameras started getting better and better, we needed a computer program that could keep up to speed with these large files. So what Lightroom does and what makes it so special is that it doesn't actually hold the file information. It actually is just previewing the files where you are holding them on your computer or external hard drive, or even in the cloud if you wanted to. So what we have here is what we call the library, and this is where you look at all your photos, just to give you an idea of the shots I took this morning. And I'm going to move this out of the way for me. So all these photos I took in my garden, I took 174 images, and you guys saw 6. So what this program does is it allows you to see all your photos at a glance, organize them by keyword. You can rate them and star them, which I know Alicia's going to be doing a lot with her baby photos and dog photos today. You can even look at a couple images and get all the rest out of your way. You can double click very quickly and zoom in to 100%, give it a second while it loads, and really see the details in a shot. So the whole time I'm moving through this program, just looking at my images and analyzing them, this program is actually reaching back into my hard drive and pulling the information of that file only as it needs it. So that's the beauty of this. Is other programs like Photoshop or even just previewing your images on your computer, those programs require you to open the entire photo to be able to read it. And Lightroom is just a preview of that photo. So of course, viewing the photos is super important, especially as we're getting started as photographers. I want you to be able to study your photos so you can see all your information here. You guys see your settings, ISO 200. I was zoomed into 65 millimeters at f2.8 and 2,500th of a second. So you can see at a glance all the great information about your photo, any keywords that I put into place, like garden and creative tips. And then, of course, our favorite part about this program and what you'll learn in this class is how to edit your photos like a professional. And what I mean by that is understanding when you've gone too far and understanding the difference between highlights, lights, darks, and shadows, and the different colors that are showing up. All of that can be manipulated right here in the Develop module of Lightroom. So you can see on this photo, I'll just show you a before and after real quick. Here's what it was at a camera, and you can see this as I did just make it pop a little bit. Everyone kind of see that? How I messed with it? Can you notice it, Alicia? I know it's slow, but you can see it, right?
Oh yeah, I can see it. And there's plenty more ways to, manipulate your photos.
Oh yeah. Here's
But for me, I always suggest don't do too much. You just want to do very simple touches.
This one I did probably a little too much, but how cool does that look?
Yeah, it's really cool.
So
very, very cool. The highlights and pushing the colors just a little bit more, or the darks, like right in that photo, you can see her push the darks. Got to get a little darker. I love it.
So on Saturday, if you guys want to join this class, I'll give you the heads up. There are two different, the way Lightroom works is it is a subscription program through Adobe. It's $10 a month. I just pay $120 for the year, so I don't get the monthly fee. And you get access to a lot of programs, including Photoshop, okay? So it is well worth the $10 a month for what we used to have to pay thousands of dollars to get access to in the first place when it was a single license program. But there are two versions of Lightroom that you get with this subscription. And they sync, they work together, but one of them is specifically a mobile version. It's meant for your phone, and it syncs anything you've done in this desktop version. So if you're gonna join us or if you're gonna dive into Lightroom, know that the mobile version is fun, but it doesn't do nearly the amount of powerful things that this one does. So if you're gonna join us, we are gonna be working in Lightroom Classic. You'll see it up here. And just to give you an idea, this is what the icon looks like. So the other one looks very similar, but it has rounded edges. It's not squared off edges, okay? So you get both that and Photoshop when you join this. And if anyone wants to learn Photoshop, I say do Lightroom first because it'll help. So
yeah, I barely go into Photoshop anymore. It's just it's too much. Lightroom is very quick. It's easy. I should wake up and be grateful for Lightroom every day. Literally, like,
I
what are
hear
you
you on
grateful
that one.
for? Lightroom.
Lightroom. Here's just to give you an idea, guys, of people, and one of the reasons why Alicia loves Lightroom more so. When I first started working with portraits, I didn't have access to Lightroom for editing the way we do now. So what we can do now is really cool. And if this picture, it'll take a minute to load. But there are some really fantastic tools up here that if we get time on Saturday, we're going to show you how to use this adjustment brush tool to really soften skin so that you never really have to use Photoshop at all, but you can actually remove spots and things like that. Here, I'll just show you real quick. This is the spot removal tool. So you can see how that kind of works a little bit. Give it a second. I know it's, and there her little spot is gone. So there's a lot of really incredible things you can do with this program. We, as professionals, what I want you guys to get the foundation of is that you want to be able to organize your images for the rest of your life. This isn't just about one cool shot because you like taking pictures. This is about your life and all the digital files you're going to take, whether it's with your iPhone or your DSLR or God knows some other new technology they're going to come out in 10 years. So this program is just a great place to build a foundation for all your photos every year. Keep them organized. You can kind of see over here how I organize them by year and month, and then the date file system. So you can come back to them time and time again, and then in the same location you've organized, you can do all kinds of incredible things to edit them as well.
Donna, you don't have to answer your question, you don't have to use RAW in Lightroom. It would bring in any photo you want to use, even from your phone, your iPhone if you want, or whatever. But we always suggest shooting in RAW. That way you have all the information of that photo necessary to be able to zoom in and see all the pixels and see what you're shooting. So
exactly. Just to back up for a second, guys, the difference between RAW and on Photoshop, the difference between RAW and JPEG is that JPEG is a flattened file. It's like you print an image and I hand it to you. RAW file would be like if I handed you a roll of film and said, here, I took a picture of you. Isn't it pretty? You can't see it, right? It hasn't been processed yet. So RAW files, the reason they're so powerful is because they hold about 3 to 5 times more information about each spot, each pixel in that moment than a flattened JPEG. So we use RAW files that are unprocessed. We bring them through a workflow using Lightroom, and we use Lightroom to extract the parts of the image that really matter to us. And that brings me to my next point, which is, yes, organize. Yes, have fun making your images pop. But the real value of this coming from 2 professionals who are doing this is we want to show you where to take it back, where to limit it so that it looks like the highest quality image you can create. And then what do you do with it, right? What's your why? So are you going to print? Are you posting to Facebook? Are you building a new Instagram account? Are you starting a business? What are you going to do with these pictures? And we're going to show you how to create a print file and a web file and what the quality difference is in those images as well. So if you are really into photography, and I know that these classes are for any kind of camera, these creative tips, if you guys write them down, you can share them with any friend and they would go, oh, well, that's cool, I can try that. Doesn't matter what kind of camera they have. But if you are shooting with a DSLR or mirrorless, you really do want to be shooting in RAW, and you really do want to be using a post-production program to move through a workflow and hold your images and edit the best ones so you get to see them, right? My biggest frustration with our beautiful industry of digital photography is everything just gets put on a screen. So let's start thinking about what we want to do with these photos and how we want to make them pop and who's going to see them and how we're going to show them off. That's where Lightroom really comes in, so we can enjoy our pictures, right? And I kind of like the
whole thing on your desktop.
Exactly.
That's where everybody kind of goes wrong, is you load your own computer up with too many files. So that's why we suggest getting an external hard drive, something that, looks like this. So yeah, I would invest in that if you're going to be taking lots of photos and you're going to be working in Lightroom.
Yes. And an external hard drive, just to give you guys an idea, 1 terabyte holds hundreds of thousands of images, even raw images. Professionally, I go through about 1 to 2 terabytes a year. You might go through 1 to 2 terabytes every 3 to 5 years, depending on how much you shoot. But the other key thing we're going to teach you in Lightroom is that when we are narrowing down to our favorite images, we need to make decisions on what pictures we can delete and save space. So we're going to talk about the psychology, and what we talked about a little bit today is like, how do we decide which picture is the best one? We're going to talk about that so that you do have this pile of images at the end where you can say, hey, I don't need this anymore. Delete them off my hard drive and give yourself more space. But definitely hard drives. I recommend, which RAW file would you use most of the time? Diana, do you mean like which size RAW, like small, medium, large? If you have options, I say shoot RAW fine or the highest level RAW. They are higher quality images, so they are going to take up more room. So I don't know how many memory cards you have, Alicia, but I have like a pile of hundreds of them.
I have a lot of memory cards, but I only have one on my camera specifically. It's only RAW. Like there's no other RAWs to. This is like RAW, JPEG, and then I don't even know if it has.
You know what you might have, Diana, is RAW plus JPEG fine, RAW plus JPEG medium, RAW plus JPEG small. Those are what that does, guys. If you look in your menu system and you're looking in your image file type or image file size, if you have RAW plus something, then that is going to be 2 files that are created every time you click one. One is going to be RAW and the other one is going to be a JPEG. So it's giving you this flattened proof, if you will. I do not use that, but some photographers need it for their workflow. I know photographers, like wedding photographers, who it takes them months to narrow down their shots, but they do want to give their proofs to the bride right away. So they get these unedited small JPEG proofs just shot over quickly. So
I also know some photographers that actually the camera saves twice, once in RAW, once in JPEG, just in case something happens to it, especially wedding days or something like that. That way they have a backup on another kind of card. So
Diana, I am not sure. She says she has RAW F, RAW N, and RAW B.
I wanted to look it up real quick.
Yeah, and Diana, if you want, and anybody is welcome to do this as well, if you want to take a picture of it and email it to us, we can always respond in email after we take a look ourselves. It's hello, and I'll type this in. It's hello@livewonderful.com. We always want to do our best to answer and make sure we can answer your questions to the fullest. So always shoot us emails. If you guys are in this group with us live and you're hanging out and loving it, go join our Facebook group too. It's the Facebook or the Live Wonderful Photo Community. This is a private group of students who have just been through our classes. So you're going to get a lot of great resources and feedback there if you want to share your photos. And then we're always here live and here in the studio. So again, you can always email us if you have questions as well.
Okay, so I have a little bit of knowledge on it. The RAW F is fine. That is the highest quality. That's the most information. Raw N, I think is, don't quote me yet, but because there's
Normal.
everyone different cameras, but yeah, that is just a lower raw, smaller file quality. And then raw B is JPEG. I assume that's what I'm reading right now. So I just Googled it. You can do the same, but I would go with the raw F. That is the highest quality.
Yeah, there's your answer, Diana. And remember, guys, if you are switching to RAW today and you have not used a post-processing program, if you do not know Lightroom, you will not be able to email or send your photos or put them on Facebook. RAW files are unprocessed. So until you have a program to process them, you aren't going to be able to access these images. You'll be able to preview them, but you won't be able to really access them and do anything or send them anywhere. So here's an in-between option. And what I tell people is, if you want to make sure that your files are of high quality right now, because later you're going to get into post-processing, then right now shoot RAW and JPEG. So you can go grab those JPEGs now, but you can always go back later. You have these RAWs that when you get into photo editing, you'll be able to go grab those pictures you took before. I can't tell you how many times I've taken an old camera somewhere and the first 20 shots are in JPEG, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to edit those properly, and I'm not going to ever come back to this spot again. So I'll switch into RAW and make sure it's there. So I have both. So I hope you guys can join us 2 to 4 p.m. Let me go ahead and put these links in here now so you guys have them. It is livewonderful.clickmeeting.com. You got that, Alicia?
Yeah.
Thanks. And you will, if you scroll down, we have only a few more of these creative photo tips classes coming up. We got Friday and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. And next week, or this Saturday, is our portrait photography from 10 to noon and photo editing, what we just went over with Lightroom. We're going to be doing that from 2 to 4 this Saturday. We have a lot of other things coming up for June, guys, okay? I am literally got my head down every day this week planning the schedule for the rest of the year and getting everything up and on the website and stuff. So that is coming. Look out for it. I hope you guys have enjoyed these classes. I love coming on here and doing this. I want you to know, too, if you are not seeing us live, we are going to be uploading these to our YouTube page. So head on over to YouTube, look us up, Live Wonderful Photography, subscribe to our YouTube page, all 8 of these. And once we're done, there'll be 12 creative photo tips that you guys can check out anytime, these free replays, okay? So we will see you. I will see you, Alicia, in 24 hours. But we will see all of you guys right here in the studio Friday at noon. Debbie said she's thinking about signing up for Saturday. Good. You can join. Who else is in this group? Donna's going to be joining us Saturday. I know she's looking forward to it. So those of you who are going to be joining us for these, for the Lightroom class especially, I want you to go ahead and download and sign up for Adobe Lightroom now. You do get a 7-day free trial. You do not have to open the program or do anything with it, but it'll just give us a heads up. It'll let you jump right into the program. So let me do this, guys. I'm going to give you another link real quick where you can, so that I know you all know exactly where you can go. The Adobe program and get it downloaded onto your computer. Let me just make sure this link is correct before I copy it. So it's adobe.com/creativecloud/photography. And make sure I'm right. Yes. So what you're going to do is, good. Debbie's already got it. If you're going to join us and you don't have it yet, there's the link. You're going to scroll to the bottom of that page, and it's going to say Lightroom or photography option, okay? So those are the two you can choose between. They're $10 a month. Again, the photography one gives you Photoshop 2 if you want it. So that'll be fun. I'm so excited to do that. Can't wait to see you in just a few days. And every one of you, we will see you Friday here at noon. Go sign up now if you haven't for our Creative Photo Tips free class number 9. I have no idea what it's about. I'll have to go check it, but it's going to be fun. I know it, especially because Alicia's going to be here with me.
Coming in hot.
It is hot here. Don't worry.
Good.
You will be enjoying. And we're supposed to have really good weather. Not that I want to be stuck in front of the computer with you, but good weather this weekend, guys. It was gonna be crappy. Now we're gonna have good weather. So get out, go shoot, have some fun with your camera, and we'll see you guys in a few days.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me.